Hello, welcome to this YouTube on Dhammapada, chapter 5, verse 4. That's verse 63 in the consecutive numbering. I will call up the text and read it out to you. Here we are. Yo balo manyati balyam pandito vapitena so balocha panditamani save baloti vuchati. Yo balo manyati balyam pandito vapitena so balocha panditamani save baloti vuchati. So yo balo, in English we'd say the fool who. In Pali you say which fool. Translated in the Radhakrishnan text as the fool who. It can also be whatever fool. Norman translates whatever fool realizes his folly. So yo balo, which fool in Pali, equivalent to the fool who. So yo balo manyati balyam. So a bala originally actually it means a child with no pejorative sense at all. But then later on it came to mean a grown-up person who acts in a completely infantile way, and therefore a fool. Sometimes you will see the word used as an infant, but it's normally plain as here from the context which one it is meant. So the fool who is aware of his foolishness. Let me call up the iPad. Oops, sorry. Here we are. Bala is one of those numerous words that can make an abstract noun by changing the final syllable a to ya. So, Bala, the fool. Balya, foolishness, folly, the status or condition of being a fool. And this root man, from manas and mantra, so many words, like the English word mind, the Latin mens, mental. It has the idea of thinking, but also in this context to perceive something, to say, I know what it is, to realize something by the process of thought, to say, I know by thought that's what it is. So manyati balyam, he realizes his folly. So the fool, whichever fool, yo balo manyati balyam, whichever fool realizes that he's a fool, pandito vapitena so. So, meaning he, pandito vapitena so. He, so, tena, thereby, pandito is a wise man, and this vapi is an emphatic. It's va api becomes vapi. Va normally means or, but vapi combined together make one single, effectively a single word, meaning indeed. So the fool who realizes that he's a fool thereby becomes a wise man indeed. So pandito vapi, a wise man indeed, tena, thereby, so he. So tena pandito, he thereby a wise man, is a wise man. And tena, tam, in Sanskrit, tad, just meaning that, the instrumental is tena, and tena meaning by that. In other words, by that very act, by the very fact of realizing that he's a fool, he becomes a wise man. Now the next line puts the antithesis of that. Balocha panditamani save baloti vuchati. So the cha, he calls back up for you, the text. The cha, as we know, normally means and, but it often means but. Sometimes it doesn't particularly matter. The person, the fool who realizes his folly, pandito vapitena so, thereby becomes a wise man indeed. And the fool who thinks he's a wise man, or but the fool who thinks he's a wise man, you could use either in English, giving the same meaning. The cha is a little bit fluid in that same way in Pali. Balocha pandita mani, and the fool pandita mani. Again from the root man, mana means thinking. Sorry, I should have called up my iPad. I'll do it again. It's from man, mana, the verbal noun, thinking. But it very often has the meaning, not just of thinking as in the sense of the thinking process going on, but it very often has the meaning of fancying oneself as something, having conceits about oneself. In fact, our English word conceit is from the it's the same word originally as a concept. You've got concepts about yourself. You've got big ideas about yourself in exactly the same way mana is used in Pali and Sanskrit as well. So if you're a pandita mani, you're a mani, you're a person who has conceits. This is with the suffix in, so a manin is conceited, having conceits. What kind of conceits? A pandita mani. So if you're a pandita mani, you're a pandita conceited, wise man conceited. In other words, you've got this big idea about yourself that you're a wise person. So the balocha pandita mani, the fool who thinks he's a wise man, sabe, he indeed, balo vuchati, or balo ti vuchati. The meaning of ti here, pull back the, oops, come on. So, save balo ti vuchati. He indeed, balo vuchati, you could say balo vuchati is called a fool, but balo ti, fool, unquote, is called. It's like, it's just, here the ti, this ti, short for iti, is exactly the same as close inverted commas. The only difference is that in Sanskrit and Pali, you close the inverted commas, you close the quote, but you don't actually open it, you only close it. Save baloti vuchati. Vuchati, he is said. It's from the root vach. In Sanskrit, it would be vach, is to say, in the passive, it would be, I'm putting asterisk here to show this form doesn't exist, but how it arises. Got the passive, the vya, the atmanepada ending vachyate. You will often find it happening that an unstressed va word beginning with a va, that va softens to an u. So in Sanskrit, the vachyate becomes actually uchyate. Just as, for example, in the past, in the perfect tense, he said is vach, and you reduplicate the first syllable, strengthen the a, vavacha. Vavacha actually then becomes a softening of the va, uvacha. So this uchyate then becomes, in Pali, the v comes back, but it becomes vuchati. So vuchati, that's the passive form, with the chia, the cy, becoming a double c in Pali. It's vuchati, is said. So save baloti vuchati. He indeed is said, meaning is properly called, is properly said to be a fool. So I will read this again. Yo balo manyati balyam pandito vapitena so. Balo cha panditamani save baloti vuchati. And again. Yo balo manyati balyam pandito vapitena so. Balo cha panditamani save baloti vuchati. And that's it for this video.